Hello, everybody. This is James Brizuela for all Trojans. I have the unbelievable pleasure to be sitting down with USC Trojans legend and WNBA legend Lisa Leslie. Lisa, how are you?
Hi, James. I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me and fight on.
Fight on. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to sit down with me. This is very exciting and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. When I heard you were, a Trojan, covering the Trojans, I was like, oh, I got really excited. I felt like I should switch my sweatshirt real quick, but I don't have time.
No problem, no problem. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're doing with State Farm right now?
Yes, I'm really excited to be working with State Farm, who's been an avid supporter of women's basketball. Even when I played for the Sparks here in LA, we had State Farm on our jersey. So I really appreciate the fact that they really step up using their voice, putting their money where their mouth is, and supporting women's basketball. I'm very excited to be chosen to participate in this campaign, which is really highlighting the greatness of Caitlin Clark and all that she's accomplished. She is just an outstanding player. Her ability to score from pretty much the logo on any court has been game changing. And seeing her score the way that she has, I think has changed the mindsets of people watching women's basketball, not just college basketball, but women's basketball and how they see it. It's created an all new fan base also who's come in. I always tell the story about being in a grocery store and these old people were just like, hey, how about that Caitlin Clark girl? Like it's really captured the hearts of so many people, not just I think in the US, but around the world. So I'm really excited to be a part of this campaign with State Farm and highlighting Caitlin's greatness, on the court, but also in the community. And that's the person that she is. She's such a role model and accepts that position with such grace and kindness. So that's all I had to see and hear. And again, I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Miller, Candace Parker, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Juju Watkins. How does it feel to make you hear these young women's names I read, along with greats like you and Cheryl Miller and Candace Parker?
I feel proud, and I think I feel um I feel very supportive. I think I feel like a mom, it's even though some players are older than me or not, but I feel like a mom that we're all torch carriers. And when we had our time and we're at the peak of our games, we knew that it was bigger than just ourselves, that we have an opportunity to, some people are seeing us play basketball for the first time. We're trying to make that impression. Like, I want you to leave this gym knowing like, wow, who I am, and that, wow, she could really ball, like regardless of me being a female or not. And I think each one of those women that you name understand their responsibility is bigger than them, and they play their hardest, they give the game their all. That's the beauty of it. Like, we're always trying to change minds and convince people that women's basketball is amazing. And that's why I'm also like to shout out that I'm so thankful for State Farm, because when you have a company and a corporation like that that recognizes and put their money where their mouths are and really supports the game and these women, um, we have to support companies that support us. That's very important to me.
Absolutely. Actually, Caitlin Clark is part of another full court press State Farm docuseries that's coming out, and it's her, Kiki Rice from UCLA, and then Camilla um, from South
Mila.
Carolina are in that. And I'm just curious, what is your reaction to that, and what advice do you give to these young rising stars to be in the moment, handle the pressure of the moment?
I think Billie Jean King said it best, that pressure is a privilege, and you have to process the idea that it's really a short moment in time. And sometimes we can't feel that because we're that young person who the spotlight's on you. But I'd say don't take it for granted. Recognize that how we are having the opportunity to bring people together, it's bigger than that. We get a chance to influence and impact the next generation, to be a role model to some young girls and boys out there. Like, you can't take that for granted. And no, you don't have to be perfect, but you really got to do your best. And I tried to do my best. I think that was really important for people to see someone like me that's different from the inner city. I have one of those stories that, I have a single parent. I didn't have all, the money. I don't come from all of that type of background, but I worked really hard. And I think that hard work and perseverance people can relate to. And I believe that each one of those women realize that, like, it's our hard work and our dedication, our love and our passion for our sport. That's what we give. That's what the spot is going to give also. And you're going to see that and feel that. So I believe that's what we all have in common.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been really exciting for me to cover college women's basketball this season because it's just been so wild. It appears that like all eyes are on the NCAA women's division. What do you think is mostly attributed to this massive excitement, and media attention for the women's basketball?
Honestly, it's social media. It's the impact of social media and it's the impact of corporations and sponsorships. Because what happens is that, back when I played, obviously, if I'm in LA, even though I'm balling, I have, I've scored so many points and all this. When you're on the East Coast, that disconnect is huge. Like everybody, on the East Coast may not have heard of me, and I think that's one of those things. And now through social media, there's a girl who's probably in France who can watch a video of Juju and be like, oh, who's Juju Walker's? Like, wow, she's scoring. That connection now, we're connected. It connects the world. So now we have an opportunity to impact the world. We have an opportunity to move the game and to inspire. And so I feel like just the exposure that we had, even in 1996 on the Olympic team, that exposure is what Candace Parker saw. That's what Sue Bird saw. So those young girls having the opportunity to see us play in the Olympics is what makes them pick up the ball and want to be great. And then you move that forward and Candace Parker playing, that can influence, Angel Reese or Aaliyah Boston who want to pick up the ball and they want to be like her. And so the beauty of that is that social media has given us, a huge platform, and these women are just playing ball. They're amazing. They have perfected their crafts. I think when people always ask me about the comparison of like when I played and what they play now, it's not that the game wasn't already great. It's just we didn't have as much attention. You know what I mean? And so now that these women have this spotlight, we have to be so supportive of them. And I'm very proud of what they represent out there on the court.
Absolutely. Being a proud alumna from USC, what do you think of the team's current status as Pac-12 champions? They're the number one seed in the NCAA tournament, and they have a chance to win it all. What do you think about that?
I love that for USC, for Southern California, I should say, since we got two SCs out. I love that for Southern California, for the women of Troy, because they understood the assignment. Like it was huge. The fact that it was the last Pac-12 championship, they won it. We all know Stanford was the favorite. They're always the favorite. When I won the Pac-10 championship, they were the favorite. So it's understandable for them to take down a giant like Stanford in that moment. That was awesome. But you also now put themselves in an opportunity to have, fans be able to follow and celebrate and cheer them on. They get to go into this experience feeling very confident about their ability to score, their ability to win, because we all know that was never Juju Watkins' best game. We know that. And they got a chance to win a Pac-12 championship. Now you put her back in the equation at her best, and they are a very unstoppable team. They're a tough matchup, a tough draw for anyone. And I just hope that they can just get really deep into the tournament. I would love to see them at the Final Four. I'd love to see, I don't know the bracket right off the top of my head. So if there is a possibility for them to face SC and SC, that would be like ideal, but I'm not sure where they are in the bracket at this moment.
Right. I mean, speaking of the Trojans and Juju Watkins, I mean, she's a superstar in the making as well. We've tried to maintain a running list of her awards this season, but like every week, she just keeps tacking them on. Have you had a chance to talk to her about her historic freshman season?
I have not. I've text with her mom. I try not to, social media, I give support, but I feel like, it's her moment, it's her time. If they want to reach me, they have my information, but I don't feel like I have to insert myself into the story. Not that, other people do, but I'm just saying for me, it's her moment. I like love it. I'm cheering, I'm celebrating, and she knows that I'm 100% in support of her and her success, as well as the whole Trojan program. I'm so proud of the coaches and the staff and just all of the players showing up and representing USC. We couldn't be more proud. The women of Troy are standing at the top. And I know this year all started about, the USC men's team. There's a lot of talk about that. And it's tough because no one wants to lose. No one wants to not have a successful season. But in that, it was kind of a beautiful thing to see the spotlight shift over to the women of Troy.
Absolutely. I mean, you brought up Caitlin Clark in Community and earlier, and Juju Watkins has done the same thing. She was highlighted in a video that detailed like how her family and community helped her achieve greatness, and she's putting LA front and center again, much like you did in your illustrious career. What is it about LA that brings this sense of pride and community?
Well, we always rep for LA. That's all we know. And I think whether it's through the music that we grew up, listening to that represents LA, or LA not getting enough props from when it comes to rap or something, like we just feel like LA is really, if you're from LA, that we represent a very cool, calm, laid back, we're smooth people. We don't get too high, we don't get too low. And Juju represents that. Like she's so cool, right? And it's not
Mhm.
like not cool in a negative way, like she's not working hard, because she's a hard worker, she's a baller, but she's also very smooth. My nickname when I played for the LA Sparks from Michael Cooper was Smooth. And it's like, I'm not trying to be smooth. It just, we just flow in a way that's just cool. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but Juju like totally embodies what LA is like. And it's so great to see that. Like she's not overconfident, she's not cocky, she's humble, but she can go every single play. She's in it, she's involved. Like she just represents LA in such a positive way that we as, natives, we can see that in her and we root for her. So I love that. Like she's her authentic self, and that's really important because people can read through that. And she represents us so well. So we're excited. We want nothing but the best for Juju and the USC Trojan and the whole Trojan family, whether that's football, we root for all of our sports, but we love it. Juju is what you call a game changer also, and she's changed the game. She's brought the spotlight back to LA, and that's what we tried to do. 94, my whole goal of going to USC was to bring it back to greatness. And I did the best I could with my teammates and Tina Thompson, and there was so many of us, Carleen Thompson, like we all did the best that we could. And I love that this group is the same way. They have that same vibe, that same drive, like recognize talent. And it's going to be interesting because of the league change. Right now you're going to get a chance to kind of get that East Coast West Coast mix, and hopefully more people will continue to know who Juju Watkins is.
I mean, absolutely. Like she's in the spotlight right now, and again, it's been very exciting to cover her and the season. I want to go back to what you said about um, being in the moment and knowing that it's bigger than basketball. Head coach Lindsey Gottlieb has said that, and then even UCLA head coach Corey Close has said that. Even when they played together, we know that's a deep rivalry here in LA, but when they talked about the media exposure for those games, they talked about everything being bigger than basketball. I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like both teams and just the city is holding true to that and allowing the players to exercise their freedom in being basketball players, but also understanding that the community and the sense of the moment is much bigger than that?
I love it. First off, I don't know another time where, well, I don't know. I don't know the history of both USC and UCLA for women's basketball, but for them to be top teams in the country at the same time, I don't know when that's happened before. And you're talking like top 5 and 6. I don't know if that's happened before. I really don't, but that's outstanding, first off. And so then you have to see what you're representing is bigger than just the rival that we have, right? USC, UCLA, talking about who sucks and all that. It's bigger than that because one, you're talking about recruiting, you're talking about the opportunity for more players to stay home that are already good players. We lost Diana Taurasi to go into UConn out of California, right? So it's an opportunity to keep real strong players on the West Coast and say, hey, both USC and UCLA are real viable women's programs right now with amazing coaches and staff that you have to see. That's what they mean by it being bigger than basketball. Like you have to represent yourselves in a way with such class and grace. And that's what we've always been taught at USC. Even though it's a private university, yes, it has its, it's sort of its bubble because we're closed in a way. But it's a school that really represents a lot of class and pride, and we want for our student athletes to represent themselves in that way. And so that's really important, and that's what they mean by it being bigger than basketball. It's part of our culture at USC. Right on.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, it's even more impressive because she's among some of the student athletes that have the top like GPA. And like she's above 3.5 or something like that, while also being a superstar for USC. Um, what do you think about balancing being a student athlete and then the NIL deals situation, and then also being a superstar? Like, how do you juggle all of that together?
I think you definitely have to have close family and management. That's important. And that starts a little bit earlier now, right? Because we usually don't get exposed to that until the day you finish college or you finish your basketball or sports career. But it's a little bit earlier now because money management is going to be huge in investing. I personally am in real estate, and I think that's something that really helped me when I've got my first check, playing for the Sparks and playing, signing with Nike. Those are the first things that I did. So I think it's important to have that money education needs to happen a lot earlier for these young college student athletes. It's going to be important in how they invest and having insurance. And there you go, you have State Farm, right? So it's going to be important for them to understand the importance of investing and how they use their money and how they take care of themselves, and getting the right information early. So I would say what you major in is going to be more important now, and understand and get a little bit of business experience, even if, sometimes business major sounds very intimidating, but it's important to understand business and how you can grow your business as an athlete. That doesn't last, forever. I don't care how great you are. Even LeBron is barely about what, 40. 40 is like you're still so young. And so not many people can be a LeBron and play till they're 40, or Sue Bird. So it's important to understand money and how you can invest and to grow it. And that's going to have to happen a lot earlier now that you have NIL deals for these young players.
I mean, absolutely. That matters a lot. I know, and when in high school they teach you like square dancing, but they don't teach you how to pay rent or how to do your taxes and things of that nature. So, how do you think as a country that we kind of alter that to give everybody, especially student athletes, more of a chance to get that financial security education?
Oh, James, now you can't put that on me because our whole country needs to sort of revamp some of our educational systems so that people are equipped with what they need. I think sometimes the association of just like having math versus how math applies to life does not connect for most kids and most people, and I think those are some things that we probably need to fix. But finding ways online to get money management classes, they're there. Getting the right people, again, hopefully with their parents or whoever their guardians are, to help make sure that they're getting the right support that they need to be able to invest and to learn. You have to not let people just manage your money. You have to learn to manage your money. So I would say taking a course on your own, whether it's summer school, online, about money management, checking with different corporations, which is important. State Farm's a great company, you know what I mean? Looking to see if there's ways that you can get financial support and financial education. That's really important. Investing your insurance, life insurance, whole insurance, whatever insurance is best for you. All of those things are important. And I think a lot of people they don't know it, because where are you going to learn it unless you apply yourself and you're looking for it, but it's not a course, right, that's given. So those are things that's important. And then balancing in general. I remember when I was a freshman in college, I took a time and management class.
Mm.
It was a very short course, but a time management course, which was phenomenal. That's how I learned to get organized, to keep my classes and my grades and everything organized, my practice. All that time management is really, really important.
Absolutely. I mean, time management. Yeah. Again, like, with Watkins being in the spotlight for USC, I can imagine like all of the pressures of performing and then, the NIL deals and everything that she has to deal with all at once. What would be the best advice that you would give her to keep juggling all of these huge responsibilities?
Yeah. Yeah, I think her mom, just relying on family. My resources were my mom and my sister that helped me to manage what all the demands that I had. So I think having someone that you trust to help you to manage your time, and what you can do, and don't be afraid to say no, because sometimes you can't do everything and you can't please everybody. And sometimes, we get pulled in a lot of different directions every single day. There's people through social media DMing you and wanting you to, do this interview, do this podcast. You can't do it all. And so I think management is very important. And I hope, and I know for her, she has strong family. Her mom, dad are excellent. She has that type of support, her aunts there. So it's important to have the people around you that can help and support you, to utilize them.
Absolutely. I mean, you're speaking of podcasts, and so funny enough, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett have a podcast together where they actually commented on how amazing college women's basketball is right now. Nothing against the men work just as hard and they're
No, I
great as
saw it.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they stated like, they know Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins and Angel Reese. Like, what's your reaction to that? And women's basketball putting the everybody on notice, not just people that cover it like me, but the NBA and across the board, everybody knows these names. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I chuckled. I said this earlier. I was talking to Bill and I told him that about that interview specifically because I thought that encapsulates sort of the idea that the change and the shift is really happening for everyone, and that women's basketball and the fact that they couldn't really name one NCAA men's player, and the men are doing great. Don't get me wrong. It's just the game has shifted in a way where the women are balling. They're playing so great, whether it's their shooting ability, their ability to pass. Their ball handling skills, everything is increasing, but you also, the spotlight's increasing. Again, that takes me back to State Farm, that you're having corporations that are stepping up, putting their money where their mouths are and supporting these women, which gives you a bigger platform. The platform we're talking about for Caitlin, that's coming up for this spot that's coming out Friday for Juju Watkins. The platform has gotten bigger, the spotlight's bigger, but the product's always been solid. But we appreciate the fact that we've always had our best supporters have been NBA men, college men have always supported women's basketball, and we really appreciate them verbalizing that, because when they say it, I laugh because I'm like, that is hilarious that they could name so many women, because the women have just, they're game changers. They really are. And it's like the stars are all aligned perfectly. And this tournament is going to be exciting because people will watch and know two or three players out there on the court. Almost, every 3 or 4 games, you're going to know and recognize players, and you want to see their success. You want to see these head-to-head matches. And we got to give a shout out to Angel Reese, because she's a part of bringing that awareness also in, also just being a brand and carrying herself so amazingly and being a role model. Caitlin as well. Caitlin, she talks her trash, but she backs it up. That caught the attention of everybody because most ballers, we can identify with both of them, like how they carry themselves and how they reacted and how they play and how they compete. But also, I love the way that they react off the court and how they show up for one another and support the fact that, like, hey, basketball's basketball, like, this is it. And I feel like people are really understanding the beauty of the sport. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're women. You see the sport being played and that they're balling. That's what I really love, that it's just coming together more and more. The lines are blurred and it's beautiful. So I'm beyond excited about the game.
I mean, absolutely. I'm excited too. As I said, I've been able to cover the Trojans this season, and man, just game after game, I've been so impressed. Obviously, other than Juju Watkins because she's already a superstar. But do you have any other favorite players on the Trojans team right now?
Oh, you're gonna try and make me name names. I don't know all the young girls' names. But what was the young girl that won MVP?
Mackenzie Forbes.
Kinsey, yeah, sorry. I was like Forbes. But Mackenzie Forbes, I was so proud of her because I felt like she recognized that Juju was struggling. And of course, Stanford Tar Vanderveer, first of all, Stanford Tar Vanderveer is the winningest coach in NCAA basketball. I think both men or women's now.
Hmm.
The fact that she was going to have to come up with a game plan to stop Juju, you have to give Juju a lot of credit because Tara is one of the greatest coaches, and she had to find a way to disrupt. They had to watch probably a million tapes on Juju to figure out where she had any weakness and try to make her, uncomfortable. They were able to do that, but I love the fact that Forbes stood up and they started to recognize, like, okay, guess what? You don't want to guard her. You guys want to overguard her. Let me take control. And I love the fact that all the players really stood up. We don't get a chance to hear their names enough, and I hope I do get a chance to meet them in person because I don't know all of their names. I know their numbers, which is so funny. I'm like, get into number 30, you're 24. But I think it's just important to say that that's why it's called a team, right? Because Juju has made people around her better. But I love the fact that the team had to step up to win that championship. That says a lot. I remember how I treat people, how you treat your teammates is really important because you never know. You need everybody to win. And that was a game where it took everybody to win. And I love that.
Absolutely, yeah. They banded together and they're dangerous. The starting five, like whoa, Kea Padilla. Mackenzie Forbes, Juju Watkins, like Rhea Marshall, like every single
Yes,
game.
Marshall, yes. Love it. I mean, that's from the 3-point shots, just a drive and kick. They share the ball so well, very unselfish. They play selfless basketball, which I love, because sometimes it's hard to teach people to just, it doesn't matter who scores the ball, you know what I mean, the basket. Because all you remember are wins and losses. At the end, look, at my career, when I even look back at SC, I can tell you when we lost. You know what I mean? So it's like you learn to become so selfless. And I feel like the USC Trojan, the women's game, they've done such a great job of just being selfless. Whether, yeah, Juju can go between legs, she can cross you up, she can get to the basket, but she might also drop it off and dish, or she might throw it to the corner. And it's the beauty of the game where the ball is moving and they share the ball so well. And it probably sounds so cliche, but that really is the beauty of the game. It's just they play the game the right way. And I think that's why people love watching Juju as well as all of the USC Trojan out there. They play the ball, they play the game the right way.
Yeah,
It's
they're
been
all playing tough. I mean, that goes for the Trojans, Caitlin Clark, like everybody. Like, oh man, it's just again, it's just so exciting to cover college women's basketball. I mean, and speaking of the NCAA tournament, do you ever get in on the bracket challenges? Do you ever like doing that?
I do. In fact, I was saying I got to get it done because the first game is Thursday. So I got to get mine printed out. I'm not home. So when I get home, I fly tomorrow morning. I got to get mine printed out and published on the CBS. We usually do it there, publish them so that it's out in the universe. But yeah, I got to get my stuff done. I love it.
How deep do you usually go? I mean, usually I get knocked out pretty early because those upsets always get me.
Well, listen, I'm gonna just say last year it didn't go well. Purdue lost but the first round or second round men's. So I was done over there. For the women, South Carolina, I think I chose last year and they lost to Iowa, right? Yeah, they lost to Iowa. So I didn't have LSU and Iowa in the finals. Let's just say that. I had LSU at the Final Four. I didn't have Iowa at the Final Four. So that was also yeah, it was great. But again, now I think we're much more educated on the women's side. So hopefully I'll do a much better job. But that's the beauty of March Madness, right? Anything can happen. Anybody can get knocked out, anybody can get upset. So I love to see it. And I'm hoping that, the Trojans can really that would be amazing to get to the Final Four first off. Final Four is always like the first goal. You get there, man, sky's the limit.
Absolutely. I mean, you might want to pick Trojans for this, but we'll see. Who do you think the final two will be?
Um, I don't know yet. I have to look at the brackets. That's the only thing I haven't done. I got to print out my brackets and really go through. I can't give you my true final. I give you South Carolina, I have chosen. But I don't know who my other final is. I got to see the matchups.
Absolutely. Thank you again for taking the time to speak to me about college women's basketball and everything. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, James. And we appreciate your support. We appreciate all the men who support women's basketball because we need you. We appreciate all the girl dads out there. And we appreciate all the corporations, State Farm, who steps up and really supports women's basketball. We appreciate them supporting the WNBA draft. And this particular campaign will come out this Friday on CBS. And we appreciate all the support of State Farm and everybody who supports women's basketball. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You as
Thanks,
well. Thank you.
James.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.